Hi, I'm Travis Zeiler, and today in the city we're in Golden Gate Park, San Francisco. This is the 96th largest urban park in the whole world, and it's about 20% larger than New York City's Central Park. Coming in at about 1,017 acres total, this is a massive green space here in the city by the bay, with tons of stuff to see from the Panhandle to the Park Chalet. And we're going to check it out today. Let's go. Golden Gate Park is the centerpiece of the city by the bay and was established in 1870. Today the park includes over 33 acres of lakes and ponds, 10 total, 130 acres of meadows, 680 acres of forests, and 15 miles worth of roads and trails. Believe it or not, however, this land used to be windswept sand dunes as far as the eye could see, in what was formerly known as the Outsidelands. In fact, this is where the famous Outsidelands Festival, which we just enjoyed earlier in August this year, got its name. Before it grew from sand dunes to this huge green space we see now, it was first noticed that barley grass grew successfully in the otherwise barren sand dunes, which later led to the planting of thousands of trees and other plants by 1872. Today there are over 130,000 trees, along with museums, an archery range, and so much more packed into this beloved part of San Francisco, and today we're going to see the whole thing. Our journey through Golden Gate Park today will begin here on Baker Street, at the eastern end of the Panhandle, aptly named due to the way this narrow stretch of the park extends out from the wider section to the west, resembling a panhandle. Forming the boundary between the Western Addition neighborhood to the north and Haight-Ashbury to the south, the Panhandle extends 8 city blocks from Baker Street to Stanyan Street, nestled between Fell and Oak Streets, before joining the east end of Golden Gate Park. Within the Panhandle are lots of trails for cycling and jogging or walking your dog, plus basketball courts and the Panhandle Playground. There's also the McKinley Monument, which is a 15-foot tall statue placed there in 1904 in honor of the former President William McKinley, who was assassinated in 1901 and is one of the only 4 American presidents to have ever met such a fate. Former President Teddy Roosevelt broke the ground himself for the construction of this monument the year before, in May of 1903. After the devastating 1906 earthquake and fires, most of San Francisco lay in ruins, and this very spot was used as one of the many refugee camps for San Franciscans who had lost everything. There were 26 official refugee camps set up in the western side of San Francisco, of which 21 were managed by the U.S. Army, providing temporary shelter for thousands of citizens while the city was being rebuilt. As we head west and cross over busy Stanyan Street, we enter the larger part of Golden Gate Park and first pass by McLaren Lodge, which is the administrative headquarters for the San Francisco Recreation and Park Service. Built in 1896, this was once the home of 47 years for Park Superintendent and horticulturist Dr. John McLaren. He was a friend of John Muir and one of the primary advocates for the development of Golden Gate Park as San Francisco was approaching the beginning of the 20th century. Dr. McLaren was preceded by William Hammond Hall, who was the original superintendent and designer of the park. He did so at the age of 25. This main section of Golden Gate Park is bordered by Lincoln Way to the south and Fulton Street to the north, and stretches from Stanyan Street all the way out to the Great Highway in the Pacific Ocean. Before we continue, it's time for the
"Hey, my phone usually does this for me" math challenge.
Do you know how many steps it would take for the average adult to completely walk around Golden Gate Park? If we simplify and say that the average adult covers 3 feet per step while walking and the distance around Golden Gate Park is approximately 8.75 miles total, how many steps would it take to complete this ambitious walk, given that 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet? Bonus points if you can also determine how much time it would take and how many total calories it would consume as well. Stick around for the answer later in the show because
nothing goes dogs like that.
It feels like you're running at an incredible rate, Harry.
Moving west along John F. Kennedy Drive, aka the JFK Promenade, we enter Robin Williams Meadow, a course named after the late Bay Area star. In and around here are the Heron Art Studio, Kezar Stadium at the southeast end of the park, the Lawn Bowling Greens and Clubhouse, the National AIDS Memorial Grove, Hippie Hill, and the Lisa and Douglas Goldman Tennis Center with 16 full-size tennis courts as well as 5 smaller courts. In fact, these courts just won the U.S. Tennis Association's prestigious Facility of the Year award for 2023. You can easily use up an entire day with just the things there are to do here on the eastern end of the park. There's also Correct Children's Playground and Carousel, which is credited as one of the first public playgrounds in the U.S., founded originally as the Sharon Quarters for Children. The carousel is cool and was part of the 1939 Treasure Island World's Fair, and maybe one day they'll bring back Rabbitville. No kidding, they used to have a rabbit village here. Then just to the northwest is the Conservatory of Flowers, with sprawling flower gardens, picnic and relaxation spaces, Dahlia Garden, Remember When, also known as the Love Blocks, Cosa de Vent, or Compass Rose in English, in the center of the Conservatory Valley. Inside the Conservatory of Flowers itself, we step into several different simulated biomes, with each containing rare or endangered plants from around the world. There are galleries for lowland plants, then also the highlands, the potted plant gallery, not that kind of pot, and the aquatics gallery.
Hi, how are you?
This Victorian greenhouse was constructed in 1879 and is the oldest structure in Golden Gate Park, with the central dome rising approximately 60 feet high. Admission is free for locals, so I come here a lot, especially if it's cold outside. This is just one of the many places in the park you'll want to make sure you visit if you love botany, or just smelling flowers. As we proceed further west along the JFK Promenade, we pass the skate area, as well as the ping pong tables and other games or attractions set up along this route, before we reach one of the central points of interest here in Golden Gate Park, the Music Concourse. Here you will also find the Day Young Museum and Observation Tower on the north end, and the California Academy of Sciences on the south side, with the SkyStar Ferris wheel overlooking it all. The SkyStar has been here since 2020 and will be available to ride until 2025. It goes up about as high as the Day Young Tower, providing for some great views of the city when it's clear, or cool views like this when it's dark and foggy. The Day Young Museum is packed with interesting art and cultural exhibits, and it's worth visiting repeatedly as there's so much to see and exhibits change frequently, such as the Ramses the Great exhibit that was there last year. For the sake of not spoiling anything, and copyright sensitivity, we'll not show any footage from inside the museum, but if you're in the city, be sure to pay a visit to the Day Young. Then next door, across the Music Concourse, is the California Academy of Sciences, full of outstanding scientific exhibits from dinosaurs and whales to earthquake simulations and butterflies. This is a very popular museum to bring your kids to, and then every Thursday night, adults can enjoy the nightlife version of the experience here. Picture a nightclub where you learn and experience cool things all night long and have drinks with other science fans and listen to music, and it's a lot like that. The daytime experience is fun, but I typically like the nightlife version. If I made a top 10 list of the things to try in San Francisco, this would be one of them. The Music Concourse outside has an oval shape and is filled with rows of pollarded trees and topped off with several water fountains. The Music Concourse was originally excavated in 1894 as part of the California Midwinter International Exposition, and then repurposed to create this large open-air space for the public to enjoy live music. The band shell, officially known as the Spreckels Temple of Music, was originally built in 1899, just 1 year before the Music Concourse was finished. Despite taking heavy damage in the 1906 earthquake, this structure has been rebuilt and expanded upon over the years to give us what we see today. Musicians from Luciano Pavarotti to the Grateful Dead have performed here throughout the years, and it remains a popular place for live concerts. Continuing west on our journey, we will first visit Stowe Lake before heading back up to the Japanese Tea Garden for lunch, and to also let the midday Saturday crowd wind down a bit. Stowe Lake is the largest body of water in Golden Gate Park and was created in 1893. Surrounding the lake are paths for jogging, cycling, and walking your dog, and all with beautiful views of this timeless piece of San Francisco, complete with an appropriately named rustic stone bridge, also known as Camelot Bridge. This lake has pedal boats as well as rowboats available for rent, and it's easy to forget you're in the middle of a large city while you're out here. Then in the center of the lake is Strawberry Hill, which was once known for all the wild strawberries that grew all over it. And now it's a great spot to either picnic, have a party, visit the Golden Gate Pavilion, or hike up the 400-foot hill to enjoy the sweeping city views from the summit, and maybe play a game of horseshoes while you're up there. On clear days you can see the Golden Gate Bridge to the north, the San Francisco skyline to the east, and the Sunset District to the south. On foggy days, depending on the ceiling that day, you might very well find yourself hiking up into the clouds, kind of what it's like to drive up to Twin Peaks when it's foggy. Huntington Falls also begins up here and has a cool bridge you can cross, which makes it feel like you're on vacation somewhere far away from San Francisco. Perhaps my favorite place in Golden Gate Park is the Japanese Tea Garden, located just to the north of Stowe Lake and south of the Day Young Museum. This peaceful garden provides a great sanctuary from the busy city outside, so I come here a lot just to enjoy some thoughtful time surrounded by nature, conveniently close to home too. Originally built as a Japanese village exhibit for the California Midwinter International Exposition in 1894, it was afterward developed into a permanent Japanese tea garden by Makoto Hagewara. This is the oldest Japanese tea garden in the US, and within these walls you'll find walking paths, stepping stones, a waterfall, pagoda buildings, although they're under renovation lately, koi ponds, a statue of the Buddha and stone lanterns throughout the garden, a manicured Zen garden, the famous arched drum bridge, Then of course the Central Tea House, where thousands of visitors each week stop by for a great selection of teas, udon, and snacks, all within this beautiful and tranquil setting. There's also a gift shop from which I've acquired several nice teacups that I use all the time. For lunch I'm having the udon and the karaage chicken, and since it's summer and I've been walking all over the park, this time I'll choose a cold matcha tea, although I usually go for one of the hot teas in colder times of the year. Itadakimasu! If you can make it here in the spring, usually March through April, the extra benefit of the blooming sakura or cherry blossoms adds to this already wonderful experience. This small but beautiful park is one of the must-see attractions in all of San Francisco. As we move on from lunch, our journey continues with the San Francisco Botanical Garden right down the street from the Tea Garden. Spanning 55 acres, this living museum offers a rare glimpse at plants from all around the world, all in one place. This is another sanctuary in the city that I frequent frequently, and it's very easy to get lost in here, in a good sort of way. Step into the park and you can easily feel like you've traveled to the opposite side of the world. The carefully curated flora includes trees, flowers, and other plants from Asia, Oceania, Africa, and even some California redwoods for good measure. The paths diverge from the main routes and allow you to wander into the woods, where the only thing missing is the wildlife and the bugs from that particular part of the world, which is perfectly fine with me. Just be careful to not actually get lost in here. Sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me. And it's about at that point I decide it's time to get to the choppa and find my way back to the main trail. Depending on the time of the year, you can see different flowers blooming, although this is one place where something always seems to be in season. The Scented Garden is especially worth a stop every time you come here. I could spend all day wandering this park, and maybe someday I will, but we've got a lot more to see today, so we'll move on. Alright, we'll traverse to the north side of the park next and make our way west from the Rose Garden, Hero's Redwood Grove, which looks like something out of Endor from Star Wars, if not the northwestern coast of California, then passing Doughboy Meadow, and down to Prayer Brook Cross and Rainbow Falls. This huge Celtic cross was dedicated in 1894 and sits atop of the hill overlooking the falls below. This pond flows into a babbling creek that flows westward along the JFK Promenade. Across the busy Highway 1 Crossover Drive, which connects the Richmond and Sunset neighborhoods, we find Lloyd Lake, which is a great place to see ducks and even turtles, who may or may not be teenage mutant and or ninja. I've never committed a crime here that would justify them transforming and beating me up with their theme song playing, and I don't plan to, so their secret's safe with me unless they're just regular turtles. Okay, anyway, moving on. On the north side of Lloyd Lake is the Portals of the Past monument, remembering the 1906 earthquake. This actually used to be part of the mansion of Southern Pacific VP Alvin Town, which was built in 1891 atop Nob Hill at 1101 California Street, before his home was completely destroyed by the raging fires brought on by the earthquake. It's easy to see, just walking through the park for today, just how monumental an event the 1906 earthquake really was. Moving on, still heading west, we pass through the vast Speedway Meadow until we reach the Golden Gate Park Polo Field. The largest sporting field in Golden Gate Park, the Polo Field, is surrounded by a 0.67-mile-long bicycle track, and in the center are 6 regulation-sized soccer pitches. Despite the name, polo is rarely played here. These days, the Polo Field is perhaps best known as the location of the annual Outsidelands Festival each August. This year's event just took place a few weeks ago as of this video, and saw thousands of visitors over the 3 days of the festival. Given the popularity of Outsidelands, more concert events are being planned that might begin in 2024 for this part of Golden Gate Park. Next to the Polo Field is Spreckels Lake, which is adjacent to Fulton Street and was built specifically for model yacht racing. The San Francisco Model Yacht Club was established in 1898 and still races model yachts out here to this day. For others, this is just a great place to take a walk or sit and watch the ducks and the turtles. For out-of-towners, many find it hard to believe that there is a large bison sanctuary in the middle of a big city, especially one as small an area as San Francisco, but it's true. The bison paddock is located just to the west of the Polo Field and is home to 10 female bison as of 2020. Kinda like in Jurassic Park, there's only female bison here to control breeding, but it's more successful without all that frog DNA jazz getting in the way.
That is one big pile of shit.
Anyway, the bison have roamed in Golden Gate Park since 1892, and this is a must-see destination for anyone who has not seen one of these large but graceful creatures up close. It also gives some dimension to just how large this park really is, to know that it's big enough to be a home to a herd of bison, along with 10 lakes, a horse arena, a golf course, a polo track, and so much more. West of the bison paddock are the 3 lakes of the west side of Golden Gate Park, named the North, Middle, and South Lakes, although Middle Lake has been undergoing some rehabilitation work lately. The roads are busy through here, so you can take a detour through the woods if you want. Again, just don't get lost. These lakes are calm, quiet, and less visited than some of the others in Golden Gate Park. The Berkut Equitation Ring is also on this end of the park. Didn't I say it's huge? In a large city, it's not unusual at all to see people on horseback while passing through the park. Then not too far from here, back toward the Polo field, are 3 fly casting pools that are open to the public, and the San Francisco Anglers Lodge, which is home to the Golden Gate Angling and Casting Club. Founded in 1894 and boasting 1,300 worldwide members, this is one of the largest and oldest fishing clubs in the world. If you're local and love fly fishing, this is your spot. Then making our way toward the coast, we pass by the Golden Gate Golf Course. It's closed for renovation at the moment, but is planned for reopening by mid-fall of 2023. Till then, I'll be getting my 19 holes in at Lincoln Park nearby, up by the Legion of Honor Museum. Moving on from the golf course, there's the archery range over here too. Yes, this park even has archery covered. No crossbows though. Bring your own gear, but the range is open daily for local archers to come and practice, so don't be surprised to see someone get on the bus with archery gear. First time I saw that I was like, whoa, where the hell did they come from? Next is a Dutch windmill and the Queen Wilhelmina Tulip Garden on the northwest corner of the park. This one was built in 1902, and the other windmill on the southwest corner of the park is the Murphy Windmill, built in 1908. Each used to pump water and now are iconic sites of the city by the bay, visible from out at sea and serving as a sort of welcome to the western end of Golden Gate Park. Nestled between the windmills are the Beach Chalet soccer fields, with 4 full-size soccer fields available for use every day. I played company soccer here before, and it's within walking distance of where I live, so it's among my favorite places for sports in the city. And then that's it, we made it! 1,017 acres, thousands upon thousands of steps totaling about 20 miles for the show, and a day packed with awesome things to see and do. As a matter of fact, that brings us back to our
Hey, my phone usually does this for me. Math challenge.
So if you were to walk all the way around Golden Gate Park with an average step length of 3 feet and a total distance of 8.75 miles around the park, at 5,280 feet per mile, the walk would require 15,400 steps, plus or minus, to complete. For the bonus questions, how much time would it take and how many calories might be burned up in the process, the answers are 2.92 hours, given an average adult walking speed of 3 miles per hour, and 875 calories burned, given an average adult caloric burn rate of 100 calories per mile. That's a lot of numbers to take in all at once, but if you don't know, now you know. This has been the
Hey, my phone usually does this for me. Math challenge.
Exciting. To finish off any day in Golden Gate Park the right way, we'll go to the Beach Chalet, or downstairs it's called the Park Chalet. I've had a lot of great times here, and the beach view allows for some outstanding sunset watching over dinner and drinks. They also have their own brewery here with a big variety of great beers, all with San Francisco related names. Since I'm on the wagon lately, I'll just go with one of my favorite of their non-alcoholic drinks this time and order a Bahama Palmer. That's an Arnold Palmer with a splash of pineapple juice. After all that walking, they hit the spot and go well with their fish and chips. Seafood always tastes better by the sea, I think, or maybe it's just in my mind. They have excellent Trapino here too. They recently remodeled upstairs and has a nice upscale but still casual feel to it. Hard to believe the stories I've heard from local old-timers about when this place was a VFW hall long time ago. At any rate, Beach and Park Chalet offer an unforgettable dining experience by Ocean Beach in the Pacific Ocean. Come for the museum downstairs and stay for the memories upstairs as the sun sinks below the horizon. And now to go and cool off, since it's midsummer, and in August we can end up getting some really nice and warm days here in San Francisco, which translates to it must be hot as hell in the valley. I know, since I used to live out there myself and drive hours just to come here for some time at the beach, long before I moved here. Well, that was quite a doozy, wasn't it? That was Golden Gate Park in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed our walking tour today. I'm at Ocean Beach. It's a nice balmy August day. I'm going to go jump in the water. Until next time, this is Stay in the City, and I'll see you later.